is created to empower movies itself. Another week, another great movie for sure. That Mr. Bob
Hey.
will
Oh, hi,
narrate to
Daniel.
us.
Sorry, I cut in on you there.
No worries at all. No worries, partner. So, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. The temperature's warmed up and the snow's melting, and I'm happy because there's not so much snow. So
Here.
I'm not a big snow person.
Oh, yes, for all those shoveling and everything, right?
Right? Yeah, I'm tired of this. It's melting away. I think it'll be gone this week. I'll be happy.
Yes, let's celebrate Mr. Bob. Let's celebrate the snow is well. Do you think that's the end of this year or
No,
there will
we'll probably get one more good snow before the end of this winter, probably.
we're almost right? We're
Yeah,
almost.
but we're getting close. We got, it can happen in March. It's happened before. So
Hmm.
usually not April, but some March. Yeah, we've had. I think we've had April snow, but not too often. So
How about April Fool with the snow?
yeah, April Fools. A lot of fools in April.
April
Not
Fools,
so much
why
snow.
not? With the big bang of lots of snow.
Yeah.
Mother Nature is in crazy mode for sure.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my goodness. So, Mr.
So
Bob,
go ahead.
go ahead.
You're
What
gonna
will
ask me
be
what
our
today's movie is.
yes? I'm so excited.
Well, today we're going to talk about Chuck, specifically the life
Chuck.
of Chuck,
Mm.
which is a movie that it came out in 2024, but it's a fairly new movie, and it's an interesting, weird movie based on a story by Stephen King.
Oh wow.
And I know you know Stephen King, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
really a scary movie. It's kind of it's not your typical Stephen King fare. I'll put it that way. So it's good though. So
Mm-hmm.
let's see what people. Let me see if I can read the one line thing is the life of Chuck is a life affirming gender bending story about three chapters in the life of an ordinary man named Charles Krantz.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much more than that, actually. So it's really an interesting study on life, which I
Life.
found was really wild. So Tom Hiddleston is the star of this movie, but he's not in it very much. Tom Hiddleston played Loki in all of the Marvel movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he is Charles Chuck Krantz. And the interesting thing is, people they wake up one day. So the movie actually is in reverse. So you see uh, billboards and ads and things thanking Chuck Krantz for 39 wonderful years. And
Mm.
they're kind of odd because they're kind of ubiquitous, right? They're everywhere. People are seeing them, but they they're not necessarily drawn. The movie's not focusing on that. It just kind of keeps happening in the background. Actually, the movie starts being focused on the character of Marty Anderson, who's a teacher,
Mm.
and I'm going to mess up the actor's name. Chiwetel Ejiofor. He's a really good actor. Been in a lot of different stuff. I can name a few things for you here. That of the things that he has been in, but he's a really good actor. He was in. Let's see if I can find one that he was in. Doctor Strange, oddly enough, which is another Marvel movie. He's in a thing called The Old Guard. He was in Maleficent,
Mm-hmm.
Infinite. Let's see if there's one that's a little more. Z for Zachariah. I remember that he was in 12 Years a Slave. He's been in all kinds of movies. I mean, he's been around for quite some time. Slow Burn, Four Brothers. I mean, on and on and on. This guy is really, an acting powerhouse in and of himself. And he's not even the star of the movie, but that's where we start out. And he's teaching school, and he sees these Chuck Krantz things, and he's trying to figure it out, and then he is trying to uh, reconnect with his ex-wife a little bit. But basically, what's happening is the world is coming to an end, and there's disasters happening, and the world's just degrading. He's talking to his neighbor, who was played by Matthew Lillard, who you may know as Shaggy from the Scooby-Doo movies back in the 2000s. He's trying to do the parent-teacher conferences, but everybody's so distracted by the end of the world that they can't. That's Chuck. We were Life of Chuck. Sorry. You're looking at a different movie there. The Life of Chuck. You get stuck there, I think, Daniel.
Okay, I'm looking for the wrong movie, people. So go ahead. Comedy 101.
Yeah, that's the next one.
Comedy
So
101.
CHUCK. I guess maybe whenever I say it, it sounds like chalk, but
Chalk. Okay.
Chuck, like Charles, the short for Charles. And so
Charles. Oh, okay.
we don't really see Chuck Krantz or Tom Hiddleston character for more than a half an hour into the movie. It's all this end of the
Okay.
world stuff is happening, and people are trying to there's all these people coming in for parent teacher conferences, and they're more interested in their own issues and the fact that they're the world is falling apart,
Okay.
and they don't understand why. And then we keep seeing all these billboards and things for Chuck, thanking him for his years, 39 years. And there was like commercials on television, and then the internet goes out, and they can't use their phones, and the television goes out, but they can still see ads for Chuck. For Chuck
Okay.
Krantz. Thank you for 39 wonderful years. So the it starts out in Act 3, and essentially the world ends.
Okay.
They're
And then.
watching Marty and his ex-wife reconnect, and they're watching the stars outside, and one by one they start fading away,
Mm-hmm.
and the world ends. And
Us.
then we go into the second act, uh, which is Chuck as a kind of a younger Chuck before he passes away, and it really is dominated by Tom Hiddleston. Is gone to a conference, and he is in this kind of like shopping area, I would say, kind of like a pedestrian mall. And he happens upon this young lady who is a busker. She plays the drums to make extra money. So she's in this area, and she's playing the drums, and she kind of gets the vibe of people as they walk by, and that kind of, it's all very freestyle jazzy kind of stuff, right? So Chuck comes to walking by. He's an accountant. He looks very buttoned down and so forth, and he's there for an accounting conference, and he starts to dance,
Wow.
and there's
Okay.
this huge huge dance scene happening, you know and oh, actually, you know what, maybe I can share my screen.
Oh,
How would that
wow.
be? Then you'll see what I'm talking about. So there you go,
Okay.
you see it.
Yes.
So
Chuck. Okay.
there's Chuck. Yeah. So then you should have mentioned that. I would have switched it over. So here he is. Chuck's dancing. There he is
Okay.
dancing. There's this other young lady whose boyfriend has just broken up with her. She's having a terrible day, and Chuck pulls her out of this audience that has amassed to watch him dance, and they do this incredible dance sequence, which was really good. And believe it or not, Tom Huddleston is an incredibly good dancer. I had no idea. Tom Hiddleston, yeah.
Like
Had no
Dance
idea.
Driver.
Yeah. So you can see here in the background that says Charles Cranston,
Charles.
9 great years. Thanks, Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
This is the teacher, and he ends up uh, running across this man here who's Carl Lumley, who is the actor Carl Lumley, who runs the funeral home. And he is walking around because the world's about to end. People just leaving their cars lying around. So you have to walk everywhere. It's kind of weird. But
Okay.
oh, I haven't gotten to him yet. Let's go back again here to this. So let's go back to Tom Hiddleston. And so
Mm-hmm.
Tom Hiddleston does this dance, and then um, we see that he is kind of your average guy, right? He's a very average guy, but there's something wrong with him. He's got a brain tumor.
Oh,
So
spoiler.
he doesn't know this. Yeah, he doesn't know this yet, but he's realizing that he has a brain tumor. And so um, then we go after that. We go, so we finish that scene, and then we go into when he was young, and this is his grandfather right here. So now it's a young Chuck. So we're going backwards in his life.
Mm-hmm.
So we began where he died, and we're going backwards to where he was young. Now his grandfather was an accountant, and and what happened was, unfortunately, Chuck's parents died in a car crash, and he was raised by his grandparents. Believe it or not, this is a picture of Mark Hamill,
Oh, wow.
Luke Skywalker from Star Wars, which is kind of interesting. Now, unfortunately, because Chuck's his was be his this was his daughter who died. He's very depressed, and he's a heavy drinker, and so he's drunk, but he's not belligerent or anything. Um, oh, there's Chuck in the window there. There's them dancing again. I'm trying to find another good picture of where he was. It goes into all these other things now. Hold on, let me get to the. Oh, there's thanks, Chuck. That's funny. But so
Thanks,
Mark
Chuck.
Hamill's in the movie, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really an interesting film. I'm going to get through to get to some more of the movie scenes if we can. But it's really an interesting movie because it shows the life of Chuck, and then when he was little, he is raised by his grandparents. I'm going to get through there. Oh, you have something going on in the background there. I hear some noises there, Daniel. So here's the young Chuck, and he's trying to cope with the death of his parents, and his grandparents are coping with the death of their children, and he's raised by his grandparents, and it all goes fairly well. And the reason that he's a dancer, well, he's an accountant because his grandfather is like, that's a stable thing to be, right? And he's a dancer because his grandmother taught him how to dance when he was little. And so it's interesting in the sense that all these years later, he's an accountant, and all of a sudden he's out on this plaza and he decides to dance, right? Because he knows how to do it. He's danced enough to have muscle memory that he can still do it, but he doesn't do it for a living. And so as we get to young Chuck here, they're mixing up all the pictures. I wish they'd do them more in sequence. We do young Chuck here. You can see his grandpa's drinking. He's watching television. And there's this weird thing, and his grandparents live in an old Victorian house. And they have a room that's the cupola, the round room that's on those old houses like that. That's locked, that you can't go look in. Nobody can go there. And so obviously Chuck really wants to know what's in that room, right? So he tries to sneak it, and he makes his grandfather very angry because he unlocks the door and peeks in. He sees nothing, but when his grandpa looks in, he sees his own death. He sees when he's going to die. And every time the reason he locks that room is because every time he looks in it, he sees the death of someone he loves.
Oh, wow.
And so the uh, interesting thing about this movie really is the fact that it's not really it's an it's it's really about life. It's not about death, but it focuses on death and everyone dying, right? So, but the realities is that Chuck, as a child, has some really good times. There he is dancing with a girl at the school dance because he's a really good dancer. He listens to Carl Sagan about how if you compress the life of the earth into a calendar year, what would happen in each month. That becomes a big part of the movie as well, talking about that. Um, and there's him and his grandma watching the TV, which, funnily enough, his grandma is Mia Sara, who was Sloane in Ferris Bueller's Day Off when she was young, which is a big 80s movie. There's Chuck as he's growing up and one of his teachers. So the interesting thing to me about this movie is that it's not about death, even though that's all you seem to hear about in the movie. It's really about life and how your choices, affect how your life is lived. So Chuck learned how to dance from his grandmother. He was a very good dancer in school. And then he went on to become an accountant and have a life. And then he got a brain tumor when he got older. And he danced in the courtyard just before he was going to die. And so it also kind of highlights how, as you live your life, you touch all these other people. And even though you don't realize it, you have impact on everything around you, even if it's very slight. And so this story is as if Chuck were the reason that we were, you can interpret it to say that the reason that everyone dies is because Chuck dies. And so then all of his influence in the world evaporates, right? It's all gone. So it really is quite a incredibly deep it can be an incredibly deep interpretation depending on how you look at it. It can be very shallow where you're like, okay, this is just some crazy movie that goes backwards and Tom Hiddleston is the character and you hardly see him. And then it has all these other people, actors, these great actors from all these other movies in it. That's kind of just a surface level thing. But the story really is about how the decisions you make affect your life and how whenever you're gone, it affects all the people that you touched, right? Came in contact with, even ever so slightly. Because a lot of the characters in the later part of the movie, which is the beginning, before they all die, he didn't really know that well at all. He just happened to be, you know, you would see them in the background, right, of his story. But whenever you were in their story, you didn't really see Chuck. So it was really a what I would say was a incredibly deep movie, incredibly interesting in its interpretation on how life happens. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second. I will bring up some other stuff here in just a moment. But, it was a very small movie, right? So it is incredibly low budget movie. Let's see what we got here for numbers for you. The release date was June 13th, 2025. So it's 2025. It said 2024 on there. June 13th, 2025. It
Not
was
24.
filmed
Okay.
in Mobile, Alabama, of all places, which not a lot of movies are filmed there. I think it's just
Mm-hmm.
cheap. It was cheaper. It doesn't say how much it cost to make. It made $6 million, 600 $6,712 and 712,600 in the U.S. and Canada, and so far it's made $19,700,000 in the world. Right,
In
a
the
very
world.
very small movie, but It was made by a guy named Mike Flanagan. And Mike Flanagan, apparently, he's a writer director, does a lot of independent movies, but he has kind of a cadre of people that he works with regularly, and a lot of them were in this movie. So, uh, you know, Karen Gillian, who was from the Marvel movies, Chiwetel was in the Marvel movies as well. Carl Lumley,
Mm-hmm.
David Dust, mess up all these names. David Malshan, who was in a bunch of horror movies right now. But anyway, and they kind of do these movies that are, fairly low budget considering, but are really, quite memorable. You may have heard of some of them. The Haunting of Hill House. He did that was on Netflix. There was 10 episodes. He did that. Midnight
Mm-hmm.
Mass was a 7-episode Netflix. He directed Doctor Sleep, which was a follow-up to Stephen King's The Shining. So he's done a lot of things. Let's see, Gerald's Game. He was a director for that. I'm trying to think. Absentia was an early movie he did. So he's got kind of a following, and kind of there you can see the dancing there. You got that going on. You
Mm-hmm.
get he's got a kind of a following with these movies, and works with these same actors. The interesting thing about this movie is that it was during the strike, and because they were independent movie, it was they made it during the strike of 2023. But because he was an independent movie, he was able to get special permission to go ahead and film, and that's another reason why everybody was available, because you know they couldn't work on big Hollywood movies because those were off. You couldn't work on those because it was a strike, but they allowed him to work on the independents. So so this has got a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb. I
Mm-hmm.
watched it on Hulu, which it's available on Hulu right now. And
On
then
Prime too.
it's on Prime as well. Okay. And then it
Mm-hmm.
got 80% on the tomato meter.
80%. Not
Yeah, pretty
bad.
good. Pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm trying to think of what else I could. So a couple of weird bits of
Trivia.
trivia that will, yeah, you get more on Trivia 101, but a little bit to trivia. So Mia Sarah, who I mentioned, she was played his grandmother. She hadn't acted since 2013. She was kind of semi-retired, I suppose. She came out of retirement to do this movie, and then she also did the movie with him called Midnight Mass in 2021. Um, the movie's based on a novella from Stephen King called If It Bleeds. It was a collection of short stories. This is one of the short stories. Um, and they talk about, kind of the kind of life cycle. And so they talk about the fact that Earth Day is really not 24 hours, it's 23 hours and 56 minutes. And then that changes toward the end of Earth there. So it's a little bit more than 24 hours, which means the Earth was slowing down. And it's kind of like they were taking comparisons between your life, how your life speeds up and slows down, and then how the Earth mimics that. As you get older, you slow down
Mm-hmm.
before you die. So, very interesting stuff, right? So,
Yes.
the let me see what else we got here. Oh, there was a Rita Hayworth um, uh,
Poster.
images in the background for because as to kind of remind people of the Shawshank Redemption, because Rita Hayworth was the poster that he puts up in his cell
Mm-hmm.
to cover the hole that he was digging to get out in the Shawshank Redemption. Um, so yeah, but overall, it's just a very it's a little bit slow. I'll be honest with you. The movie is very, it has some slow spots. So some people may be like, you know, it's a little too slow for me. But if
Mm-hmm.
you really look at it from, you know, the point of view, if you really kind of pay attention to it, it really is quite an interesting take on how you live your life, because you know you make decisions. Are you going to be safe and be an accountant, or are you going to try to be a dancer? You know, what decisions do you make through your life that, you know, change you, but then it doesn't just change you, it affects everything around you. And you know, in that case it's a deep story. And so, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's wild. It's just a wild movie. It's not, you know, it's not overly fancy. It's very well made. You can see there from the trailer that you're showing.
Yes.
And it's very confusing. And I like it a lot because it does. When you start the movie, you don't know what you're going to get,
Mm.
and it slowly unfolds, and then it gives you a lot of you know, a lot of leeway for you to interpret things. So everything's not cut and dry. Everything's not spoon fed to you. And so, you know, this is what I think, even though I wouldn't, you know, give it a 10 or give it, you know, our 5 popcorn buckets, it's still pretty close and it does a good job. And so it warrants, um, you know, people to watch it. It
Mm-hmm.
really is what movies are about, is to make you
To
think
think. To
and,
think, right?
yeah, keep your attention. The look of it is good enough to keep your
Mm-hmm.
attention, and then the story is good enough to make you think.
So do you think this is good for Oscar?
Well, I don't think it's going to win any Oscars, just because it's probably, you know, the Oscars want a certain type of movie, you know what I mean? There's no
Mm-hmm.
triumph over bad, there's no no triumph over evil, there's no, you know what I mean, no overarching moral part of the story. It's just life. It's a very a condensed version of somebody's life and a few choices along the way. It's not overly complicated, but it is if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
It's up to you to make it difficult for yourself. Think
right,
something
exactly.
else.
You
Yeah.
can read into it what you want, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what makes it a good movie. But unfortunately, the Oscar part of it, they like to have things a little more, you know, it didn't make a lot of money either, but you don't have to make money to be Oscars. But you know, every once in a while they do like things that are more popular. So, but good movie all the way
Awesome.
around. I would say, you know, if you get, you can get a chance, if you got Hulu, you can watch it, and you're not going to be, you know, you won't be sad. Well, you might be. It's pretty depressing and sometimes, but you won't be sad you watched it. You may be sad because it's a sad movie.
Mm-hmm. But it's intriguing and full of life.
Yeah.
Mr. Bob.
Yeah, I don't
So,
know. They have drama, fantasy, sci-fi as the little tags down there, but I mean fantasy I could see, sci-fi not so much, but
mm-hmm.
it's not really a sci-fi movie. It's definitely a fantasy in this, in that sense, because of the nature of how it's told and you know, so forth. But I don't, wouldn't call it a sci-fi movie at all.
Mm-hmm. So, do you think, Mr. Bob, this movie is all about building your legacy to the world?
Ah, see, that's what Daniel finds in this movie.
Mm,
Ah,
yes.
it could be. You're right. So it
Mm,
could be that. I think more than anything, at the end of it, it's like you have to. Everyone has to compromise on something at some point in time. The question
mm,
is, you make the decisions on what you're going to compromise, and you build the best life you can, because you'd never know. Because Chuck died. The reason they said 39 years is he's supposed to, that's how old he is. He dies at 39 from a brain tumor.
At 39.
Yeah. So you don't know how long you got, right?
Yes,
And so you always have to make the most of your time.
true. That's why Mr. Bob and I doing lot of podcasts because this is our legacy. Life is too short, people. Life is
Life's
too short.
Exactly. You have to
So
you
do
have
you
to
think
put it
that
out there.
yes, do you think our podcast, Mr. Bob, it will last for 50 years?
I I don't know. That's a good question. It's hard to say.
Mm. Just like the life of Chuck, like
Just
what,
like the life of
39?
Chuck. Exactly. Hard to
39 and
say.
ends. No more
39.
trails.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck, for your life. We will learn from you. Mm.
Exactly. Exactly.
And okay, Mr. Bob, would you like to plug in something?
Sure. You can catch me here on the 101s, conspiracy, trivia, comedy, movies. Or you can catch me also at Static Radio, staticradio.com, at Static Radio, on the socials, wherever you feel like doing. Fill your
Yes,
time with all this great content.
definitely. What will be your topic next week, Mr. Bob? For
I
Static
won't tell
Radio.
you. I'm not going to tell you.
I mean to say I will listen to your episode. Just give a little bit glimpse because I know I'm very busy. I'm a very busy doing lots of podcasts. So
I
give us
don't. I
glimpse.
have. Sometimes I don't even know. That's the thing. I
Mhm.
figure it out whenever I have to. Sometimes. So I watched this movie this morning. So there you go.
Oh, this morning only.
Yeah, I watched it this
Mm.
morning. Yeah. Well, I was trying. I go through a whole decision-making process, and because a lot of times I'll watch more than one movie over the weekend, and then
Okay.
I decide which one. But this weekend I was busy with some other stuff, and so I didn't get to watch anything until this morning. I'm like, oh, this was great. We'll talk about this one. So who
Great is
knows what's
great.
going to happen next week?
Yeah. Who knows, people?
I also
The
try to
life of
mix it
Chuck.
up a little bit for you, Daniel. You know.
Oh, I have a suggestion. Why not talk about our 101s on your static radio to promote it? Why
There you
not,
go.
right?
I could mention that. Sure, I
Yes,
will.
definitely cross marketing. We
Yeah,
need downloads, Mr. Bob. We need downloads.
cross marketing.
Price marketing. Well, thank you, Life of Chuck, for giving us inspiration to build more legacy to the world because life is too short. Thank you,
That's
thank
true.
you. So, Mr. Bob, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Daniel. Everybody take care out there.
Yes, Martica people, see you soon.